Every person has 3 ego states, and these are the basis of all social interaction. While people are very different when it comes to thought and behavior, there is a basic behavioral template which everyone inadvertently follows. These are the ego states. Technically speaking, an ego state can be described phenomenologically as a coherent system of feelings and operationally as a set of coherent behavior patterns. Simply said, it's a system of feelings accompanied by a related set of behavior patterns. There are 3 such states. The first is the parent ego state, which is copied from parental figures in a person's life. The second is the adult ego state, which comes from the objective appraisal of a person's reality and the knowledge garnered from experiences. The third is the child ego state, which is one of the oldest states a person has, as it is one of the spontaneity that comes from childhood. The points these ego states make are simple: everyone carries their parents inside of them. It might not be biological parents, but the figure they looked up to as having parental value to them, whether good or bad. The behavior of the parental figure lingers in the person. Everyone has an adult. The part of a person's mind which processes data and forms understanding, regardless of how correct or skewed that understanding is. Everyone carries a little girl or boy inside of them. This is that part that is full of hope and wonder and joy, and loves to try new things and can make mistakes due to a lack of past knowledge. For some of the ego states there are a few things that need to be pointed out. The child ego state, being in this state does not mean that one is childish. The word has grown to have negative connotations. Instead, it means one is acting childlike, which pertains more to just being like a child, full of joy and hope, which is pure and good. The child state can, however, be bad in cases where one is immature. The child ego state is also in 2 forms. This is the adapted child, which occurs when behavior is modified to suit the standards of the parent, and the natural child, which is more rebellious and creative and spontaneous. The parent ego state, this state is also in 2 forms which are direct and indirect. The direct form of this state is the do as I do state, in which one copies exactly what the parental figure does or says, and the indirect form is the do as I say, not as I do, where the person adapts to their requirements and responds as they are expected to respond. In every single instance of communication, the ego states come into play. As long as it is an interaction between 2 or more people, the ego states come into play. In such interactions, it could be parent to child, adult to adult, and all other possible combinations. 2 friends talking about going to get dinner at the new restaurant near the office is an example of interaction. It is adult to adult, with both parties in the conversation being in the adult ego state. Then those 2 join a group of interns discussing weekly team meetings, and in a dogmatic parent-to-child discussion, they say what their mentors used to say and teach interns act like they have been taught by their mentors. After the meeting, a child-to-adult interaction can be seen between those 2, as one complains about the pressure being put on her by their boss while another suggests giving honest feedback to their boss in aim to resolve the issue. A normal social interaction is called operation, and games are a deceptive twist on operations. Usually, the word game means something fun and something which brings enjoyment or entertainment, however it is not entirely so here. A game in this context is an ongoing series of complementary ulterior interactions progressing to a well-defined, predictable outcome with a concealed motivation. In other words, it is an act of deception used as a shield to cover intentions and preferred outcomes. Not all games are bad, however. Despite the deception, some games are playfully deceiving, like flirting, but some are vile through and through. A normal social interaction is called an operation. An operation is a simple interaction or set of interactions which are undertaken for a specific, stated purpose. If someone frankly asks for reassurance and gets it, that is an operation. If someone asks for reassurance, however, and after it is given turns it in some way to the disadvantage of the giver, it is a game. Bringing this example to life, if a coworker asks for your help to take some files to your boss and you take the files successfully without accident, it is an operation. Your coworker plainly stated the purpose of her interaction with you, which was to get help giving the documents to the boss. If, however, your coworker asks you to help take some documents to the boss and you take the files there only to be berated by your boss for disrupting a meeting you knew nothing about with files he did not ask for, it is a game. Your coworker had come to you stating that the purpose of her interaction was to get your help taking files to your boss, when in reality, it was actually to trick you into getting in trouble with the boss. A game looks like a set of operations, but after the purpose comes to light you can see that it was all a maneuver. Not honest requests and actions, but all moves in the game. Games are learned behavior that comes to us naturally and is groomed within us from childhood. Games are not foreign to anyone. They are things we pick up right from our childhood. We do it even without realizing that we do. At a family dinner, a 6-year-old eats too much and tells his parents he does not feel good. His parents fuss over him and suggest he lie down. Also wanting this attention, his 4-year-old brother declares that he also does not feel so good. In such a case, the parents laugh it off knowing that he is playing a game on them and just wants the same attention as his brother, but this is the beginning of a lifetime of games, where the true purpose is hidden behind a play. He will grow up to pretend to bump into a girl he likes just for an excuse to talk to her, and perhaps onto more games like pretending to care about a customer, only to get them to sign on with his company. Everyone plays different games and they play each game differently, according to their backgrounds, parent ego state, and their learned behavior, adult ego state. For example, in the game of flirting, Person A might make his move by writing his love interest a note because he has heard that his father wrote his mother a note to say he loved her before they got married. Person B might begin to emotionally abuse his love interest, giving her attention and then suddenly starving her of love and acting disinterested because his father used to say letting a girl know that he loves her would make him vulnerable to hurt. Person C might walk right up to his love interest and kiss her full on the mouth, risking a slap, because his father says action speaks louder than words. All persons in this illustration are playing the game of flirting, but all of them play the game differently based on the way they have been taught to play from their respective backgrounds. Games can be found in every facet of life and they are able to persist throughout a lifetime. Games can exist in all facets of life, and they can also take up a whole life. An example of a facet of life which games run rife in is marriage. There are many games in marriage, one of them is, If It Weren't For Him. In this game, out of many suitors, a woman picks a domineering man to marry. In this case, she has things she wishes she could do, but is too scared to do, as such she needs someone to blame for not doing those things. Someone who would not push her to face her fears and take challenges head on, but someone who would reinforce her restrictions upon herself, so she would be able to say to people that she would have done all those things if it weren't for her domineering husband, and it would be seen as not her fault, and an understandable predicament. The child in her makes the choice of the domineering man to be safe in her bubble of fears and have the man be the parent ordering her about. This is quite similar to the scene in the child's cartoon The Lion King when Timon the meerkat screams, "Let me at him," and pretends that he can't wait to be free to attack the enemy, but also hands his tail to his warthog friend Pumbaa to hold him back. It is a case where the player only wants to seem like they want to be free to do something, but in reality, they are too scared and want to be held back. Another facet of life where games come into play is in groups and friendships. A popular game is Ain't It Awful? In this game, the player regales the group with tales of his or her misfortune at every instance they possibly can. The group then gives pity or favors. In this game, the player doesn't really do anything to try to better their lives because they enjoy the pity they can garner from their peers. They are in the child state, enjoying the attention and sympathy of those around them, while the other players who listen to the sad tales are in the parent state, trying to give their help and their support. Games are also found in the criminal facet of life. An example of this is the game Cops and Robbers. In this game the criminal is in the child state and plays something similar to hide and seek. For them it is more than just a wish to get what they want at all costs, it is the thrill of knowing if they would be caught or not. This is obvious in how criminals will sometimes go as far as purposely leaving clues for the police, just like a child yelling from their hiding place to give a clue of where they are and increase the suspense of the game. If they do not purposely leave clues, they become sloppy. They go back and do it again even when it's risky, or they leave fingerprints somewhere, but with criminals, the game is to eventually get caught. Now that we have seen how games are in different facets of life, we can now look at games which are able to take up one's whole life. One of such games is Kick Me. In this game, the player purposely goes out of his way to be horrible to people in order to incite their wrath upon him. This then gives him the opportunity to pity himself and ask, why does this always happen to me? This self-destructive behavior continues time after time, and if they happen to meet someone who is very nice and not easily aggravated, they will become more and more provocative until even the nice person breaks and lashes out at them the way they want to be lashed out at, finally giving them the opportunity once again to feel sorry for themselves. Another game one can play their whole life is the game of Now I've Got You, son of a B*****ch. In this game the player is holding in a lot of anger and frustration all the time, as such, they are constantly looking for the opportunity to be angry. Little things that regular people would let go, will rile them up to the max. These people have been holding an injustice done to them which they were unable to rectify, and so they look for every injustice they can find and joyfully exert the full weight of their wrath on it. In such players, they might not even have to be the one the minor injustice was meted against. Perhaps a waiter spilled a drink on the player's girlfriend by accident. She says it's okay, but he goes ahead to punch the waiter and ensure he has a black eye. In this game the player is in the child state, being petty and looking for revenge in whatever way he can find it. Even though we did not start games on purpose, we should make a conscious effort to stop playing games as they limit us. Humans are social animals. We don't do well alone. Anyone who is alone will be sad and dissatisfied with life. It is our basic biology. Humans need each other to be able to survive and be happy. However, for this bond to be properly created, we have to open ourselves to others and be vulnerable. Humans tend not to be brave enough to do this, and so we come up with games, to indirectly get what we want, which is a connection. The problem with games is, while they form a protective shield which allows us to communicate and interact without being vulnerable, they also limit us. When we play games, we are not showing our true selves, and as such, we cannot be appreciated for who we truly are. This creates the feeling of being alone even when we are surrounded by many people. It means that despite having people around, our minds don't register the presence of bonding, so we still end up sad. To get rid of the problem of games, we need to be autonomous. This means that we are in control of our actions. Autonomy comes in 3 steps, which are awareness, spontaneity, and intimacy. Awareness is the ability to see and hear things in your own way, not the way that you have been taught. To be able to look at things with clear, unprejudiced eyes and enjoy them without preconceived notions. Spontaneity is the freedom to choose and express your feelings in any way you want, from any of the ego states. Intimacy is the spontaneous game-free candidness of an aware person, being able to share yourself with others without reservations and fear. With these 3, you can overthrow the burden of games that is upon you, as you will no longer feel the need for them and they will not come to you unbidden. You will be in full control of your actions as you are now autonomous and no longer a player being jerked around in a game. Conclusion. Games are a part of our lives which we are so used to that we no longer the question. They come to us naturally and we don't realize that they are not supposed to be there. These games are holding us back from achieving our full potential for connection, and it is our duty to escape from the clutches. It has been established that games come to us unbidden, however it is our duty to stop ourselves when we find that we are falling into a game. If you are a player of Now I've Got You, son of a bitch, make a conscious effort to stay calm in all situations. When your mind begins to jump at an opportunity to get angry, remind yourself that it is a game and don't let yourself fall in.